From the Old Testament to the New, into the early church of Jesus, down throughout church history, disciples of Jesus have recognized the necessity of restricted gratification, or what we might call the simplicity of pleasure, or, as I like to say it, sobriety as simplicity. And here's why this seems misleading. It seems like we're mostly talking about something called asceticism. Now, asceticism is a lifestyle of severe and usually religious self-discipline and restriction. Asceticism brings to mind images of like miserable monks and nuns and the Amish, people who have sworn off sex and electricity. And maybe it seems kind of impressive or unattainable from a certain angle, but mostly to most people it seems kind of absurd. And that's because you guys live in Portland. Excess is practically written on the town charter. It could be, for all I know. Has anyone read the town? No one's read the town charter. No one in this room. You haven't read the town charter. Anyone read a town charter? I certainly haven't. Town charters aside, you get the ethos. You get what I'm talking about. The idea is kind of like, oh, you like coffee? How about 1,500 coffee shops per city quadrant, each of them with near identical branding and interior design, because this is also where aesthetic originality goes to die, apparently. Or the question is, do you like beer? We have an entire subculture for you. In fact, it's less of a subculture, it's mostly just culture. Or do you like food? We have that as well. And of course, none of this can be done without your phone sewn to your hands, captured in vivid detail as you pose with donuts and lattes, a chorus of camera shutters soundtracking every hip new restaurant and bar. In the New Testament, you have Paul writing to Timothy and saying, but if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. But in Portland, it's more like, if we have hundreds of rotating options for food, coffee, beer, and novelty entertainment accompanied by homogenized Instagram comrade-approved designer fashion, we will be momentarily contented with that until we are not, and then we need more. So, any hint of asceticism or the idea of self-denial sounds to the Portlandian ear like a far-flung radicalism. And then its only hope of catching on is the rapid moving current of trend. Why did dozens of books and articles and documentaries and podcasts about minimalism proliferate over the span of a few short years? Because it became trendy. And the manual often smacks of individualism. Modern Westerners, of course, breathe the air of individualism, steeped from birth in a worldview that values and highlights personal freedom and autonomy and expression above any kind of group identity. It makes consumers of us. Our desires and needs and stories exist in a vacuum, independent of our families and communities and the generations before us. So why embrace the trend? It'll make you happier. It'll make you super cool. It'll make your super house look even super cooler. It'll reduce your fretful anxiety over your stuff. And don't get me wrong, there are elements of truth in those things, valuable elements of truth in those things. But Jesus' teaching on simplicity demonstrates zero concern for individualism. In fact, in the story of the Bible, there is no paradigm for individualism. Entire families and even nations, even generations of people understand their identity as woven into the group or the tribe or the people. So simplifying excess demonstrates concern for the other. Yes, Jesus is absolutely after your joy, but you are not an island. Why embrace simplicity? To love other people well. Simplicity of possessions teaches us the way of justice. It makes quiet examples of us as we lead others in the way of quiet contentment. Simplicity of finances frees us up to give our money away to demonstrate the radical self-sacrificial love of Jesus. Simplicity of speech directs our attention to others when our tongue would move us inwardly or selfishly. And simplicity of pleasure brings all of these things together by decluttering the mind and the soul so that we can become active channels of the Holy Spirit. Because that's what's at stake. Excess can sabotage the potential of your apprenticeship to Jesus. And you do have, every one of you, great potential designed, hardwired by the God of the universe himself.